Good morning to everyone, and good morning for Latin America, and good night for India, and Japan, and Australia, and good afternoon for Europe and Africa. So we have the pleasure to start this important conversation between some of the I don't know the perfect word for that, but from people who have been working and dedicate their lives to health in the TCIM articulation in health system and service, from different points of view and from different activities and from different institutions. But the common point here is that each one of the persons that are here have been working so hard, trying to encourage some governments and trying to encourage the community and the patients and also the practitioners to practice in a serious way, to improve the training and to improve the research. And we have been working in trying to generate public policies in order to have an universal coverage in health with an intercultural approach, including the traditional, complementary, and integrative medicines there. So we have the pleasure of have here Dr. Tom Nicolai from the Eurocamp, Dr. Gita Krishna from the that he has worked in many activities, but he has been part of the WHO unit of TCIM. Dr. Iva Lloyd from the Naturopathic World Association, Dr. Elio Rossi from the Tuscany region, from the Integrative Medicine direction. And who is speaking in representing the TCIM Americas Network, that is a group of stakeholders in Americas. So Tom and Gita, you can go and start. Thank you.
Okay, I would like to start with a short presentation, a short statement. I thought that there would be a large audience of homeopaths, but I don't know how many people are watching now. In any case, let me start by telling you that I'm well acquainted with the homeopathic community. I worked as a medical doctor with a specialization in homeopathy for more than 30 years. And I served the LMHI for many years in the executive committee as a treasurer. That was before the turn of the century, so quite a long time ago. And I'm even a member of honor of the LMHI. In my work as a homeopathic doctor and also in the LMHI, I heard so many times colleagues arguing that homeopathy was far superior to conventional Western medicine and that the real simillimum could solve any mental and physical problems. And what did Hahnemann say about this? Did Hahnemann agree with such a strong statement about the simillimum? I have two slides I would like to share with you, if you agree. Can I simply share my screen? Yes, I can. Okay. So it was Hahnemann who wrote in his patient records in the time that he practiced in Paris, how important it was for people to walk and to relax. He said, without reading, without writing, without relaxing, without indulging in leisure, it is impossible for the chronically ill organism to recover, even with the most suitable remedies. And also in several aphorisms of the organon, Hahnemann recommended the use of fresh air, active exercise, healthy diet, hygiene and sanitation. I listed here a few of these aphorisms, and well, probably if you are a homeopath, you know them. I stop sharing my screen now. And yeah. So Hahnemann was already aware of the need of a healthy lifestyle to regain health. And well, nowadays it is generally accepted that healthy lifestyles can prevent many diseases, especially chronic diseases, and can even reverse disease such as diabetes 2 and coronary heart disease, for instance. Lifestyle medicine is becoming mainstream nowadays. And in fact, it demonstrates the organism's innate healing capacity. And that is a turning point for conventional biomedicine in the Western world. Of course, they know the healing capacity, for instance, when it comes to wounds, but in disease, that's something different. Lifestyle changes are, as you know, a part of any traditional complementary and integrative medicine treatment. And in fact, it is the primary approach to the management of chronic disease. If lifestyle changes alone are not sufficient, TNCM modalities such as which are low risk, come into play, aimed at mobilizing and stimulating the organism's innate healing capacity, innate regenerating capacity. And if that approach is not sufficient, the biomedical approach is necessary. So integrative medicine is in fact the best of two worlds. I told the parliamentary committee of the European Parliament the same a few weeks ago when I was invited there as a speaker. Traditional and complementary medicine is focused on promoting health, and Western biomedicine is only needed when we need a forceful intervention. And when responding to the current health challenges of our healthcare system, such as increased incidence and prevalence of chronic disease, for instance, polypharmacy, especially in the elderly, antimicrobial resistance, soaring healthcare costs. When responding to these challenges needs a transition from disease care to real healthcare, which is, I believe, integrative healthcare. That is focused on health promotion, disease prevention, wellness, and health maintenance. And I say integrative healthcare because it is more accurate to use this term as opposed to the narrower focus on medicine. Because medical care is just one of many factors that contribute to citizens' health. Integrative healthcare includes also the contribution of psychotherapists, mindfulness instructors, yoga instructors, lifestyle coaches, nutritionists, art therapists, bodywork therapists, and so on. So, and what is the position of homeopathy in this integrative medicine and healthcare? That is also the theme of this session. Homeopathy is, like several other modalities in traditional and complementary medicine, aimed at mobilizing and stimulating the organism's innate healing capacity, promoting and maintaining health. In fact, it perfectly fits in the concept of integrative medicine and healthcare. We also know that, especially in the Western world, homeopathy is often not taken seriously and even ridiculed. And I strongly believe that when the concept of integrative medicine and healthcare is being more and more accepted in the national healthcare systems, the TNCM modalities, including homeopathy, can flourish. Homeopathy should jump on the bandwagon of integrative medicine, and after a while, homeopathy will be able to demonstrate its full potential. And from my own perspective, homeopathy is one of the most sophisticated, refined, and subtle TNCM modalities. And when it comes to politics, I strongly believe we should not beg for recognition. Instead, we should make policymakers aware of the potential of the integrative approach. This approach will reduce current healthcare challenges. I told you, chronic disease, polypharmacy, AMR, healthcare costs. The integrative approach will contribute to more sustainable, health-focused healthcare systems. And we can contribute to such a solution. So let's go for it and be confident. So that is what I would like to say as some preliminary remarks. Then over to you, Geetha.
Thank you, Ton. Really pertinent comments on how the healthcare needs to integrate traditional, complementary, and integrative medicine, and especially the role of homeopathy in that, and with the perspective of health, which was looked upon by Hahnemann himself as encompassing good air, talking to your friends, being mentally healthy, and at the same time going for medication when it is necessary. Are we, and also talking about healthcare rather than disease care. These are very pertinent points, and I think that is where WHO would also like to come in. And from my understanding of WHO's integrative medicine program, we at this particular moment are trying to really define integrative medicine, or probably let us say redefine integrative medicine, because integrative medicine as such is understood in different manner in different parts of the world, and it is very clearly bifurcated into clinical practice of integrative medicine and public health perspectives of integrative medicine. These are two different aspects of it. Even though in general we can say that integrative medicine could be made possible by looking at unmet needs in the regular healthcare system. So what we should probably think about is we talk about usually a possibility of alternating a different the existing health system with or the available resources or available interventions in the health system with a different health system or a different modality and call that integrative medicine. Whereas trying to look at the unmet need of whatever may be the current health system status and or current clinical practice status, and then trying to support that with another system of medicine would probably be a more appropriate way of approaching integrative medicine. And this is something which we are seeing in different parts of the world. So in fact, when we talk about integrative medicine, I would bring to you, usually we talk about integrative medicine and speak about China and India and and probably Europe. But I would like to bring to your notice integrative medicine that is happening in Sri Lanka, or integrative medicine that is happening in Bhutan. Integrative medicine in Sri Lanka is very, very interesting because Sri Lanka, as you know, is a tropical country and has a lot of mosquitoes there. And dengue was a major problem there. Of course, it was. If you look at the management of dengue in Sri Lanka, one of the most effective utilization of human resources and educating the public was done by the integrative medical system, which was run along with traditional medicine practitioners, who includes homeopathic doctors also. So this is something which needs to be taken into notice, because integrative medicine as such will mean different things for different people and different communities. And trying to bring that together would definitely start with training people, very good training, which will allow the practitioners of different systems of medicine to understand each other, would be extremely important. And WHO is trying to do some kind of a effort in that direction, trying to create benchmarks for training and benchmarks for practice. But at the same time, a lot needs to be done in different parts and different countries and different communities, because a global statement by WHO does not make any ground realities happen. It is actually things which happen in the ground that make things change. So in this direction, as Stone knows, and also Eva knows, WHO also has been working or trying to discuss with LMHI and other homeopathic institutions and organizations in trying to develop a benchmark document for training for homeopathy. I think there is some kind of a discussion which is happening still between the traditional medicine unit chief and the LMHI in this regard, and I hope that that will come to truth very soon. In fact, I would also like to bring to your notice that we are trying to think of using technology as a part of creating integrative medicine or allowing more and more people to start using traditional medicine. One such possibility we have discovered was the use of yoga. As you know, yoga is a very widely used therapeutic intervention or even a health intervention. And we recently introduced a program or a mobile app called as WHO M Yoga, which of course has a lot of takers from around the world. And this is a mobile app which allows you to train and practice yoga in an appropriate manner. And this is something which a format which WHO might be following in case of creating self-care, safe self-care information made available to public as a global good in future. So that is something which homeopathy might be of great importance and relevance to homeopathy, because a lot of it can actually be like the health advices from homeopathy can be very, very strategically placed as public health goods and advices. And that is something which I would really request my colleagues in the homeopathic segment to have a look at and try to address. I'm sure that we will be able to find a way, and there are a lot of discussions happening across the globe on trying to find the right approach to integrating traditional medicine into the health systems. One such is to really re-question the requirement of clinical trials as the basic need for accepting a system into the health system. Like if you look at that, we are very clearly aware that or rather with historical evidence we will be able to show that it was not always, or it is not always the clinical trials which had led clinical interventions to be included into the health system's practice or regular practice of health professionals. It can also be argued that in spite of clinical evidence, at many a time it does not get recognized or included into the health system's practice or medical practitioners' practice or even policymakers' acceptance, which homeopathy is a great example of. So we have a lot to work in this direction, a lot to inform people, and I think it all depends upon a kind of world view which we create, which will allow the community on the societies to understand that the barriers which are the enablers which were supposed to be which were supposed to be placed through the clinical trial mechanisms have become barriers for appropriate medical interventions to get into health system and supporting this community. So I think we have a lot of work to do, and probably WHO has a lot of interest in this area, and I'm sure that probably very soon we will be coming out and working with you all in the development of the benchmark documents for homeopathy. But at the same time, we need to continue the dialogue and we need to engage with the community. And I'm sure that we will have some kind of reflection in this direction also in this colloquium. Thank you so much. And let us start the colloquium. And I would require Natalia to take further steps and move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gita, and thank you, Dr. Tony Nicolai, for the reflections and for the ideas. Elio or Iva, do you want to continue? Iva, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much for asking me. I've been a naturopathic doctor for about 20 years, and I use all the modalities. Naturopathic practice by nature is integrative. It generally, a practitioner will use at least 4 different modalities in treatment. As a naturopathic doctor, I do everything from manipulations to homeopathy to lifestyle to herbal medicine, tissue salts, gemmels. So I really do the eclectic. And I can say that the thrill and the excitement of homeopathy, it's one of the few modalities that you can do where you can see a shift so quickly. And I think that's where, when people talk about the fact that the right chosen homeopathic can solve a lot of problems. What I have found over time as a practitioner is understanding where everything fits. So lifestyle, as Ton said, is foundational to everything. Yes, you need to do lifestyle. There's nothing you can do that can negate the idea that you need to have proper sleep, and you need to know how to breathe, and you need to have posture, and you have to eat properly, and you have to have adequate exercise and all the rest of it. But what I explain to patients is that nutraceuticals, fish oils and vitamins and minerals, they work very much on a biochemical level. They help the body function from a biochemical perspective. Only herbs and gemmels can really help the body build. So if somebody is deficient in anything, if somebody's deficient, you really need to build them up with herbs and gemmels. Where homeopathy fits is it allows people to shift. And it's one of the few things that can truly get somebody to shift. So when you have somebody who is stuck in grief, or who was in a car accident and it's the emotional impact that has really hit them, there is a key place for homeopathy. And you can hear as a practitioner when somebody is stuck in their condition. That's where homeopathy shines. And it can work in a way that other things can't work, right? And as Geeta said, there's a key role for yoga, and we're appreciating more the sympathetic and the way that yoga can just keep that nervous system under control and can help integrate the mind and the body. Hydrotherapy is one of the few things that can teach the body to breathe as a unit. And what happens with a lot of people is that the body is no longer functioning as a unit. When you take a person and they dunk under cold water, everything contracts as a unit, and when they come out, it breathes. So I think one of the things when we're looking at integrative medicine that is really important is it isn't about replacing one versus another. It's about matching the vitality of the patient, the uniqueness, the constitution of that patient to where that therapy is. It's looking at it to say, to what degree, because so it's not one or the other. It's like, to what degree do we need to work on the foundational basis of their health? To what degree are they deficient? And we have lots of ways to determine when people are deficient. To what degree are they stuck in their state? And that's what I'm saying is that it's when we're looking at how we integrate the different systems of medicine, it really is that matching, and it's understanding there is a uniqueness to everything, even when we look at essential oils. And I think in a lot of conversations, we miss that. We miss that key role, because if somebody is stuck in their condition, whatever that means, right? If they are, especially from a mental, emotional point of view, but there's lots of physical times that there's a lot of physical conditions, especially acute, where homeopathy can shift faster than anything else. And when somebody is stuck there, then that is where the right chosen homeopathic remedy will move more than anything else. So when we look at the naturopathic therapeutic order, for example, it goes through this idea that says you do the most gentle first. And maybe one of the things that therapeutic order to do that is understanding is that key role of assessment, and that key role, not only what condition somebody has, but how are they handling that condition? There's lots of times people will have arthritis, for example, and be quite content with arthritis. And there's other times when they're not. And that's what I'm saying. It's that uniqueness of tying the non-seen qualities of the modalities with that person that really helps. When we're doing research, so when Geeta talked about research, It's also recognizing that when we're doing research D9s, we have to match the practice of homeopathy to the research. And a lot of the research on homeopathy doesn't do that. And it's also recognizing that homeopathy works more in the realm of physics than it does in the realm of biochemistry. And that is the considerations, all that layering of the uniqueness of the range of modalities that we have in integrative medicine and where they fit. So when I think of homeopathy, it is not the only thing I do. I'm not a homeopath, but as a naturopathic doctor, most naturopathic practitioners will use homeopathy. I think when you're taught a number of different modalities, there is there's a sense of, okay, where do you fit versus, is this better than this? It's not about evaluating the effectiveness of one versus the other. It's about finding where they fit into conditions and where they fit with patients. Some patients feel much more comfortable in that realm. And there's lots of research that shows that if you prefer body work or homeopathy or herbs over something else, it will work better. And it's looking at it from that perspective. So I think that we are well on our way to understanding all the aspects of integrative medicine. But that's the one piece that I think we need to put more focus on, is the essence of all the different modalities and where they fit and the matching. So that I think we have to be very actively avoiding the evaluation of treatments. You know, are herbs better for cardiovascular disease than nutraceuticals, than homeopathy? I think that's the wrong question. I really think we have to be looking at where do they fit into the spectrum and when do we choose one versus the other? And there is a logic to it. And that's what I find over practice, is that when you understand that logic, it makes the working with patients much smoother. So, and that's sometimes what's missing, is that logic. Okay.
Thank you, Iva. Thank you a lot for that reflection. And for show the bridge between different complementary medicines and the different health knowledge. Elliot, do you want to follow?
Yes, of course. Oh, well, it's there are a lot of things that my point of view is not of Dr. Hiva before, which is mainly focused on which kind of treatment you choose according to the patient and the pathology and so on. My experience is more at the system level, and in this sense, there is one thing before speaking, that is it's very much important. It's very important to see what kind of a system you have in your country and for instance, Tom knows very well, and probably Gita more than at international level, that every country has different system, even in Europe, which is very difficult to match one country with the other. Generally, for instance, naturopathy is not recognized in Italy, and the people are working on this are allowed not to treat, but not to treat patient, because treatment is reserved to medical doctors, or veterinary pharmacists and dentists, but not people with a different kind of profession. So federalistic system means that the state fixes the original principle. Then are the region, the 20 regions in Italy, to organize the application of this principle. So the organization depends on the economical, socio-cultural level of the regions, can be better, can be worse. In any case, it's very different, the north from the south, from the center. And the same is in southward countries, in which there is no, generally there is no national healthcare system. So you have to pay for the treatment, in particular for integrative treatment. So, so for this, As you know, Sofia, you know, I am quite fixed on the idea that if you have to take in count for this indigenous population that have their traditional ancestral systems, you cannot speak about inclusion or integration, but you have to speak about articulation of their knowledge within the main stream, and also with the complementary medicine systems. So you have to take in count many aspects. In our country, in our region in particular, there is public health system, very important. So the idea is not to just to make a very good experience in a very excellent clinic, but to give to all the patients the opportunity to use complementary medicine. This was our goal from the first step. And to coming back to the item of this session, the first step we had was in 1996, 97, more than 20 years ago, to build up an association. The name was Medicine and Salute, medicines with plurals, different kind of medicine, and health. It means that the idea was to bring together all kind of medicine with a minimum level of evidence-based literature and the maximum level of diffusion. And so we put together the energy of acupuncturists, homeopathies, and also herbal professional therapists, and other kind of Ayurvedic, etc. But in general, we discovered that very few experience of Ayurvedic, anthroposophic, just complementary for us was acupuncture, homeopathy, and herbal therapy since the first step. And this unity was very important because nobody has enough strength to impose to the institution to take in count their reality. We just have the knowledge that there was about 20% of population using this complementary medicine. Homeopathy was the most used, more the double than other kind of treatments, but was not enough recognized to work for itself alone. So we build a sort of movement with all the same, or the same, very similar to the red of Latin American professional. And we have the knowledge and the awareness that it was not possible to reach a regulation just for each kind of discipline. Even taking, we know that they are very different in many aspects, but to put all together, and then these now recently, more recently, under the name integrative medicine, is very important. As Ton before said, I am coming also as like him from a unicistic and very classical background, homeopathic background, and Ton knows very well. But so at that time, 20, 30 years ago, a part of the idea that homeopathy is the best in the world, more than every other kind of, I can also agree, but doesn't matter from political point of view. It means that a sort of isolation. We didn't take in count anything except homeopathy. Also because if you spoil the case using other treatment, you make a suppression, so you cannot work, etc. This is possible, but doesn't mean that you can use in some cases with specific project and specific pathology, different kind of things in different way. You can use together, or you can use in succession, or you can use the alternative, as we have seen in our oncology section this morning. Another thing I want to say that so in our region we work on this level, and we made rules, decree, laws about all complementary medicine. Now is complementary and integrative medicine. And we have not very much traditional medicine, which is, we have of course, but is what we call herbal medicine in general, not it's not other kind of treatment. And what we have discovered that during this pathway, that we can use in specific project all together in different steps of the project. For instance, oncology is an example. We cannot choose in our system. We have about 150 public clinic of complementary medicine practically in each hospital of the region. And how to select for this kind of pathology the best treatment. Generally, what happens in practice, if you start as homeopathic or acupuncturist, you use first your discipline because you are expert of this, then you aggregate, you add according with different rules, different other kind of therapy. For instance, in our case, just an example, one of the want of the clinical treatment, anti-cancer treatment, is flashes of heat in a iatrogenic menopause is very important for us because breast cancer is the most seen cancer. And we use homeopathy at first, then we use some herbal treatment, and then acupuncture. We use in succession. If it's not enough, what the result we obtain with the homeopathic treatment, we use also pollens or chimichifuga, herbal, and then some session of acupuncture. And we got about 90–95% of the good result. So this is important for the patient and also for the conventional doctors from their perspective. We solve a problem they cannot solve with the normal treatment. And then, well, we are aware about the difference between all the medicine. For instance, one work we have done is about the clinical risk and the safety of the patient, and we see that acupuncture has very low clinical risk, but depends on the size of the needles they use and the level of deep insertion you use. And in China can be a problem. Chiropractic and osteopathy can have many problems with articulation trauma or like that, and is in herbal therapy has toxicity in some cases, very few, but interference, especially in oncologic treatment, is very important. And homeopathy has nothing toxicity, nothing of this, but the problem is that the people asking for homeopathy as a alternative treatment. They want to use homeopathy instead of antibiotics, anti-inflammatory, etc. And this make a problem when you change and you make the patient in a position of risk or danger sometimes if the pathology is important. And also there is a different history of acceptance from the institution. You can be integrative with the integrative position, but if as Tom said before, at the institutional level now in the last 2–3 years, homeopathy is considered not plausible, not practically only placebo. You cannot even use the word homeopathy. You have to use low doses. You have to use ultramolecular treatment, because not in our region, but in our country, in Great Britain, in Spain, there was in Spain a campaign against homeopathy with asking to European community to to not allow to sell homeopathic remedies in the pharmacy. So this was rejected, but just to even to think about an idea like this is a very negative situation. And well, and then the last thing I have to say is yes, we say that homeopathy, especially, is sustainable, economical advantage for healthcare system. But this is not enough today, because you have to prove your efficacy. But what happened in generally in a public health system in Italy, but also in France or other countries, except Germany probably, or Switzerland, that you prove your efficacy, you make then awareness about the level of evidence-based medicine we have in homeopathy. We have seen this morning Michael Frost with a very good work about lung little cell, non-little cells cancer, and a project with good result in survival and quality of life with matched with the control group and also placebo group. But this never is enough. There is a prejudice against homeopathy. You cannot publish in conventional. So they ask evidence, but you cannot publish because they don't accept any kind of your work. So, and on contrary, in this moment, till today or the last day, there was a very favorable acceptance for acupuncture. But also acupuncture start not to be really accepted because the study are not matched with the placebo sham acupuncture. If they are, the evidence is not so high. So a lot of problems. And so it means that you need to be together, because otherwise you have the example of United States, in which in oncology, SIO and other kind of consortium, university consortium, doesn't have homeopathy, neither the name, but also acupuncture very few, because the evidence is not so high. Herbal therapy, because of impossible interference, doesn't use. The only integrative medicine, meditation, mind and body, which are very good, but not our experience in Italy, is very few people are using that. So we have to take in account all the components, especially if you are working at the level of a system, national or regional system we have. And the last sentence is to be united and to have as perspective, as also goal, not what is the best achievable goal, but the possible goal you can achieve. It depends of the policy, politics will. It depends of how you have worked in the last year. Many variants are present in the field. I want not to be too pessimistic, but I think that the level we reach in our situation is a level in which the integration is partly integrated, it's not fully integrated. We have achieved a lot of things, but there is a sort of, I think we are integrated 30%, depends which field we, in oncology maybe is 50%, in pain is 50%, in labor and delivery is 50%, but in other fields are just 10%, the level of integration. Depends, but I think that in this moment, especially after pandemic, we will have a lot of problems to make a work of a success in the level of integration.
Thank you so much, Elio, for this reflection. And Elio have been working a lot in the Tuscany region in this work of trying to articulate the integrative medicine to the health system and service. So thank you so much for these contributions and for these reflections. And Dr. Gustavo, do you want to follow? Do you have the mic off? Okay.
Hello, everybody. Well, really, I haven't prepared anything for this round table, but I listened to all your speech, and I have to say that in my personal case, I graduated as regular MD, and I worked in an intensive care unit for 20 years. In parallel, I take my course of homeopathy, and I fell in love with homeopathy. And now I'm only practice homeopathy, but I make medical clinics. I am medical clinic too. I have to say that in my opinion, my personal opinion, after that I'm going to talk about LMHI. In my personal opinion, homeopathy is not superior of another kind of therapies, but for me, it's the basic therapy. I want to read the statement of WHO in 1986. WHO issued a document produced during the first international conference from the promotion of health in Ottawa, organized in Ottawa, Canada, which modifies the definition from 1948. In this document, it is said that health is a resource for everyday life, not the objective of living. Health is a positive concept emphasizing social and personal resources as well as physical capacities. From this definition, we can deduce the following reflections. First, health involves three aspects: physical, social, and personal aspects. Second, health is not an end in itself, but a resource, a condition necessary for the development of daily life. And it is a resource that allows personal and social development. In this sense, it proposes not to live for health, but to be healthy to be able to live. In general, this is not a priority in the biomedical paradigm that runs in the health systems. Homeopathy, on the other hand, is closer to this vision of the WHO that the biomedical paradigm is. Actually, if we turn to the end of the already quoted paragraph of the organon, Hahnemann says something like that. I think that homeopathy is a basic therapy for me, but not against the other system of therapy. In this way, LMHI has made things to be integrated to the health systems, and in many countries, you know that homeopathy is integrated in the health systems. But as Dr. Gita, and thanks to Dr. Gita, said, we had a meeting with WHO, with the director of the WHO 2 years ago for making the benchmarks of education in homeopathy. But nowadays we don't have any devolution about this meeting 2 years ago. And 2020, we sent a letter to WHO offering the service of LMHI for the treatment of, for helping in this pandemic, offering homeopathy as an alternative or complementary treatments. But we didn't receive any response for WHO too. So I personally feel that homeopathy as traditional and complementary medicine is a little, I don't know how to say, but resisted as to be integrated in the systems, in the mainstream system. I ask all the panelists, and why do you think that among the traditional and complementary medicines, homeopathy is so attacked? Because acupuncture is not attacked, Ayurvedic medicine not attacked, Chinese medicine not attacked, but homeopathy is the goal of being attacked in many places. For instance, Spain is amazing how there is a campaign against homeopathy. Also in Italy, I don't know, Elio, you might. There are continuous attacks against homeopathy.
You are
and
right.
Not all,
you are right.
And in many places, there are attacks against homeopathy, but not against the other traditional and complementary medicine. So I ask you, it is only because we don't prove scientifically as the model require, it is only because that homeopathy is attacked, or there are another reasons? Because it's not, if we are not aware of that, we act a little naive about this. So please, is my question about about this topic to all the panelists.
Can I say a few words about it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, as far as I understand, it is because of the extreme high dilutions that do not contain any molecule, and that from the conventional scientific perspective, this is impossible. So it can't work. And even if you come up with clinical trials, it is nonsense. And even if you show that in laboratory experiments, homeopathy shows an effect, even the highly diluted solutions show an effect on frogs, on cells, on plants, etc., etc., they simply cannot believe it. I can't believe it. It can't be true. That's it.
Beg your pardon, Tom. But journalists don't take care of high dilution, no high dilution. They attack simply because if you, you say about the high dilution, and I can answer about the, I don't know, acupuncture line. Who saw the acupuncture lines? It exists, it doesn't exist, I don't know. But they don't attack acupuncture, they don't attack the 5 element theory of the Chinese medicine. They don't attack this.
Yes,
they
but
attack
acupuncture is used by anesthesiologists, for instance.
Yeah.
So very reliable people. So that helps, I believe.
Dr. Iba want to talk.
Yeah.
You know, I see it from a different perspective. I see that the biggest problem that we have in medicines, so when Ilo says medicines, I like that, is that we are trying to impose a hierarchy on modalities and practices. We're trying to, and that's the problem right now we have with COVID, is the fact that says, you know, there's a hierarchy. We're not looking for appropriateness. We're not looking for where does everything fit, you know? Even if we go to the basics, if we look at vitamins, if we look at zinc, we know that zinc only works if you're deficient in zinc. So when we look at, it doesn't matter what it is that when I listen to different people debate and I look into when people are negating the effectiveness of homeopathy, it's because they're trying to do a hierarchy. This is better than this. If this is good, then this isn't needed. And I think that's the basics that's the basis of the bigger problem is why do we need a hierarchy? That's not what it's about. It's about appropriateness. It's about looking at where does everything fit, right? I think what we need to be having is conversations on philosophy. So one of the things in homeopathy or naturopathy that is, I'm going to say, a different philosophy is this idea that says that the greater the health risk to the patient, the more gentle the treatment, right? So, and when I look at it in practice, the way it plays out is if I have a patient who we're debating, are they dying or are they just really depressed, right? And then if you give them, and they are refusing treatment, let's say essential chemo treatment and stuff like that, if you give them an appropriate homeopathic and they shift, they're often then open to other treatments. So we're trying to do this hierarchical thing as opposed to looking at when is the appropriateness of timing. When you shift somebody from one, especially when we're looking at mental emotional, when you can shift somebody and get them out of fear, depression, anger, whatever the state is, then they're going to be more open to other treatments that, not that are better, but that follow, that appropriately follow, right? I'll raise some very good concepts that we need to consider is that we have this in drug-herb interactions. When we look at, you don't give two treatments, one is that is suppressive and one is that is expressive at the same time. Just like, you know, we look at drug-herb interactions. So when we're looking, we have this whole debate as to good and bad hierarchy, is this one, as opposed to looking at, you don't give somebody prednisone when you give them a homeopathic for a skin issue. Like it's that whole, those ideas of looking at what is the intention behind our treatment. Are we expressing, are we suppression? There's times where suppression is appropriate, right? Are we looking at building this person up or are we looking at being supportive? And when we miss the intention of treatment, when we miss the appropriateness of each type of treatment, that's when we know how to integrate them. That's when we know how to put them together. And I think that if we get away from, if we look at it from the point of view of when people are being so negative about homeopathy, I really don't think I don't think it has anything to do with the research. I don't think it has anything to do with the dilution of the samples, because for God's sakes, we have sound therapy and music therapy and like the speaker said, we have acupuncture, we have all these things that work on the basics of physics that we completely understand and accept. So we buy into all of these conversations that really are smoke screens behind something else, right? And I think that's where, for me, it's the fact that says, even in this pandemic, the reason why there's so much debate and, well, there isn't any debate, but there's so much anger is because everything is hierarchical. There's only one thing, this is the best, as opposed to what is the appropriateness? When is it appropriate under certain things, right? How do we truly work together? And that's why, unless we get rid of this idea that there has to be a hierarchy, that we are looking at what is the best, even in conditions, you can't say for diabetes or for cardiovascular, this is better than this, because it depends on the cause. It depends on why. So we have to change the conversation. So it's not about good and bad, what is best, you know, that sort of thing, before we will get anywhere. Not that I'm passionate about this at all.
Just a question. May
yes.
I ask a question? Just how to evaluate the appropriateness of each therapy?
We sort of know how a lot of therapies work. Like we know that herbal medicines, for the most part, are building. We know that if we look at vitamins and minerals, we know that their job is they work from a physiological perspective. They support the physiological pathways. We know. So
you see, pervertedness about acupuncture matched with homeopathy, how to judge, or you use literature, evidence-based, in scientific way, and you make a hierarchy or not on this kind of pathology. Otherwise, it's difficult to judge. It's just individual experience that you are used to use herbal therapy, you use it, but doesn't mean that is the best appropriate treatment of this kind of pathology.
no, and that's what I'm saying is there is no treatment that is where you can say herbal medicine is the best for this. It's more or less understanding where it fits. And I do believe that there is overlap. So in different, just like we have it where there's a belief in herbal medicine that the herbs that are most appropriate for the conditions in your country will grow in your region, right? So we have this whole signature, like we have this whole, there's lots of theories and philosophies around that, right? So I don't think there's only one thing that works at each stage, but it's still this appreciation of the fact that says that it is beneficial when you have, like if we look at the research in naturopathy practice, we find that when there is an integration of modalities, the results are often better, right? So, and that's how we practice. So it is about people finding how things fit together. And sometimes with some practitioners, if you are trained, and we find, for example, with chiropractors are very well trained from a hands-on point of view. Most chiropractors over time will integrate other things into their practice. They will integrate, herbs or nutraceuticals, or they will work concurrently with a massage therapist or that sort of thing. So a lot of practitioners end up adding more tools to their toolbox because there are gaps, right? And there are times where things don't work. So, and so that's what I'm saying, is that we're trying to simplify it. Part of the reason I think for the hierarchical or the good or bad is to help to simplify it. It's too complex to be simplified. It needs to be understood as to when it's appropriate and when things happen. And like when we look at, we have different regulations around the world in naturopathy. We have Italy, for example, that doesn't have the same scope as Canada. We have, some places don't do hydrotherapy, and some places, yoga and naturopathy combined in India, and we have this. But when we look at the effectiveness of naturopathic care, it's very similar. So it's not the fact that says that there is a sense that says that there is some overlap, but it's still the idea that you always do the foundational basis, which can be different in different places. You always do the foundational basis, and then you have all these different ways that work together. Right, but it's still even within the naturopathic practice, we've had debates in schools as to which modality is better than another modality, and do we need to have all of these? And it always comes down to the same thing that says everything has its place. And I think one of the things that I'm realizing as I work with more people, one of the strengths of naturopathy is that you might have individual practitioners that have a preference for one modality versus the other. But in naturopathic practice itself, there is no hierarchy. All modalities have a place. And the whole idea, and different practitioners, if you attract a lot of patients with mental emotional issues, even if their issue is arthritis that is stuck because of how they feel about their arthritis, but if you attract certain people, then you're going to lean towards certain modalities. So people who work on a lot of cancer tend to do more IV therapies. People who work on a lot of metabolic issues tend to do more herbs. So we have this tendency, but it's also about where are you meeting the patient on their therapeutic journey, right? Are you looking at shifting them from their state, or are you looking at managing their condition? So if you have somebody with diabetes who's, quote, content to have diabetes, you might be choosing things. So you do the cofactors from a nutraceutical point of view, and you do herbs to help manage. Like there is a logic to it. And that's the whole thing. But I really want to emphasize, I think the overall issue that we have, not only within this group, but on a global group, we have to get away from this whole idea that there's a hierarchy to treatment of any condition.
In fact, I
Can
think adding on to, yeah, please go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Go
I
ahead.
would like to follow up on what Gustavo said and his question. I believe that many people, when they go on the internet and look for some information about homeopathy, they can see the Wikipedia web page, for instance, on homeopathy, which says this is an approach that is lacking any scientific basis. I remember that a couple of years ago, I had several discussions with the CEO of Wikipedia, Jimmy Wales. He's American. And I told him, why are you so against homeopathy? Or why is Wikipedia so against homeopathy? He said, homeopathy is bullshit. Oh, I said. I thought that that the Wikipedia should show the whole aspect of the whole perspectives on any particular item, including homeopathy. So could it be possible to have this Wikipedia page on homeopathy include the perspective of proponents and of opponents? And then any one who is viewing this webpage on homeopathy can choose for themselves what they believe. He said, no, never in my life. Now, that's it.
Okay, please tell him that for me, Wikipedia is bullshit.
Yeah, but many people believe what Wikipedia says.
Yeah, Ton, what is very interesting is that I have been in the midst of a Wikipedia debate with different systems of medicine.
Yeah.
So to be very frank, every single system other than modern medicine, including modern medicine occasionally, but most of the time traditional systems of medicines are ridiculed in different societies in different ways. So
Yeah.
Ayurveda, Unani, Siddha systems of medicines have Wikipedia pages which says this is quackery, this is pseudoscience. And I thought, this was something of a some kind of a program run by somebody else. So I went and looked at traditional Chinese medicine, and I found that traditional Chinese medicine also has a similar page which says that it is pseudoscience. So and I saw that in homeopathy also. So it is that the problem is we try to talk with Wikipedia or try to understand how Wikipedia looks at these things. Wikipedia is, unlike journals, do not rely on first-hand information. It relies on opinions. And the opinions could be anybody's opinion, and then they lock it up. They don't allow you to edit it. So it is a global problem existing with a company who is owned by an American corporation, and which can be addressed globally by like taking that company to court in whichever countries which can be possibly like hurting them. That's the only way to do it, because otherwise Wikipedia is not going to bend for anybody. Wikipedia is thinking that each and every one of the traditional medical systems are looking at their own problem and not understanding that other systems have the same problem. So it is a combined effort using a single media which actually gives away a little bit of information which looks like which makes it look very lenient and very open. In fact, it is not open and which is not lenient. It has a one-sided approach to many things, and it is an opinionator. So I think if you want to work against this or work on this, not against this, on this, we probably have to come together as traditional medical systems and work on this. And I will be happy to coordinate if like LMHI and organizations in the homeopathic field are interested. I will talk to other systems of medicine and try to see how we could go forward.
Great. Perfect. Thank you.
Yes.
Lisa.
Something which
Perfect.
I would be
Yes,
happy.
of course.
And this is something
Thanks.
hugely embarrassing for us, because like youngsters see this and, and this is what and they think that what they get their information regarding chemistry and physics, which is factual, will also be giving them factual information about other things, but they do not understand that it is opinion of people who are really opinionated to one side and do not give the whole picture. And continuing with what Eva said, on appropriateness of inclusion of traditional medicine or homeopathic medicine into the system, I think the buzzword right now is going to be practice-based evidence. We have been talking about evidence-based practice, which actually came into picture about 20-25 years before. If you look at a normal clinical practice happening up to secondary level healthcare system, within the healthcare system, we will find that 95% of the interventions happened or were there before 25 years. The rest of it had come, the highly advanced technology had come up recently, and all those things have gone into the tertiary care center, but most of the people are taken care of where the primary healthcare or secondary healthcare is still important. So what I'm trying to say is, evidence-based practice is important, but at the same time, we have to now start working for practice-based evidence, and that depends upon data. And probably we require to start working on data and making governments or policymakers understand that data is important. It is not what is coming out of, like today morning, I was having a discussion with the professor in Harvard. So I was asking him the question, like, you see hundreds of thousands of people use systems like homeopathy and Ayurveda and traditional Chinese medicine year on year and for centuries. You are saying that you require 100 people to be looked for safety of this in your continent, and then only you will understand that, or you will agree that this is safe and effective. This is a human right violation. You are actually, like it is actually like disregarding the life and value of other people, of millions of people, and putting it at par with 100 people's safety, which is seen by yourself. Like it is absurd. It is not right. So we might have to start working at the very basic, as Eva said. We might not be able to, we might have to work at the philosophical level. We might have to work at the human right angle of it. We will have to speak about different forums if we want to get over this problem. I don't think that, because until now it has not happened, and I don't think that they are going to listen, because they are not sitting there to listen. They are trying to find a reason to oppose, and therefore, however much you and us or all of us try to prove ourselves through clinical trials, they will not agree to it. So I think it is the number of people who use it, number of people who are finding it effective, number of people who are finding it, who are deciding to continue using it, that makes a system more valuable to the human community than the number of clinical trials which had gone through and number of publications you can see. The fact is, the number of publications are only proof of how much money had gone into the research of that particular system. It has nothing to do with real effectiveness. It has nothing to do with safety. There's nothing. The fact is, you have $1 billion and every single clinical research costs you $1 million. Then you have 1,000 researchers and publications. You don't have even $1 million in your hand, and you are expecting tons of clinical trials and publications. It is not going to happen, and we will not be able to compete in that manner. And one more thing, why I think homeopathy is being opposed by, especially in the European system and in the Western medical, in cultures and societies where Western medicine is more prominent, I think homeopathy is the worst nightmare a economic system which is of healthcare, which is built up in your system or in your world, is trying to strive on. Like the moment homeopathy comes in, the health economy will change. The way in which people will be managed, the diseases will be managed, will be changed, money will be less, and where are you going to pay for all this health infrastructure you have created, infrastructure including human resources? So this is something of a nightmare, and which is not something which is of immediate importance to anybody. It is only of long-term importance to society, and nobody cares of long-term interest of the society. Everyone is interested in the 5-year period within which they will be able to make their gain or keep a status quo so that things will move forward. This is my general thoughts, but I think we need to work together again. As I said, we need to create this idea of dialogue very frequently, and start talking more closely with each other. We have to bring together as a group of people who are providing medical services or medical healthcare to people without, or not medical care, but healthcare to people beyond the existing health system, and which is acceptable by the community, which is acceptable to the society. And therefore we need to find a way of coming together. We need to find a way of creating a single voice to address these issues. And that's what I think, which is very important. And I think we had a good discussion on this, and we will try to make, probably Natalia, we will be able to make some kind of a note on this, and and then we should be able to circulate among ourselves regarding this.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Dr. Ton, and then Elio.
Yeah, something I would like to say a few words about evidence-based medicine and RCTs and so on. Even in mainstream medicine, they are more and more coming to the conclusion that RCTs are not the best kind of evidence, because it has a low level of external validity. It is internally valid, but as far as the external validity, so in real world conditions, the validity is very low. And you can see even in mainstream medicine that they are now considering conducting so-called comparative outcome research. So you can compare the treatment of a certain health condition by biomedicine and compare it with homeopathic treatment or any other TNCM treatment. And and just compare them and see what works best for the patient. And then you don't have to prove that it is more effective than placebo. Well, so this is also a piece of advice from the Cambrella research group. They said we should focus on these comparative outcome research. So, just to tell you. Thank you.
Yes, just a few words. One about Wikipedia. I think that the proposal that to unite a different kind of discipline which are not well treated by Wikipedia is a good idea. Another proof that is important to find out a unity within the world of complementary medicine. Because behind the different kind of treatments, there is people, of course, patient, but also there are state governments. And behind Ayurveda, etc., also homeopathy, but mainly the traditional Indian medicine, there is Indian government, and Chinese medicine, there is Chinese government, potency on the general level. So we can reach a level of impact important in this sense. And this bring me also to this politics involvement. Just a statement. We have to build up a consensus of politicians because complementary medicine, according to our experience, are not bringing vote to the politicians. You don't decide to vote left or right because somebody is supporting homeopathy or not. So you haven't, as a movement, you have a lack of strength, of power to decide. So the only way is to work like he said before, to build up a consensus, and this is possible. And not only, of course, to make very good studies, etc., but generally to document the result of your work is what I was not used to do before coming to the public health system. As an individual private homeopath or acupuncturist, you are not giving result. You are just taking count of your experience, and you see the best cases. You present in the Congress the marvelous cure case, but you haven't the possibility to make the outcome result of all your practice, which is what is very different if you work in a public health system. And so in this sense, what Gita says, practice-based, I can say pragmatic-based study, which means outcome result, how many patients, comparative result, a cost-benefit result. This is a large possible production that make a sort of consensus at a basic level, but also at a politician level. And this is what I think we have to work, and this is possible to work together, to giving us changing also the competence of different fields, because this is a very big work. You don't know very well the experience of Cliffy Cole, seen from Jacques Imbrecht, etc. And you know that the large campaign we did about 3-4 years ago, and also in Italy, where Cliffy Cole is born, and just a few tens of 100 of homeopaths sent cases, not 100 of cases sent by 10 homeopaths was the data bank. And also for COVID, at first a lot of people working, and then after 1 year, just a few cases. So, you know, we have to work for the benefit of our community, our homeopathic and complementary medicine community, but people has no time, no energy, and this is what happens.
Yeah, just to add,
Okay.
as an end note, not an end note, but just as I had a colleague who was from the North Carolina University who was working with me in clinical trials. So I and he was discussing about homeopathy and the concept of placebo, homeopathic medicines being placebo. And then he was saying he believed in homeopathy and said that, then we should tell the people who are saying that homeopathic medicine is placebo to remove all the placebos from their medications and start using homeopathic medicine as placebo, and then see if their medicines are effective against it. So that was a very good, like, if you think that homeopathic medicine is placebo, then they should use homeopathic medicine in place of placebo and see whether they are better or more effective than homeopathic medicine in actual clinical practice. Let them try that.
Very good. Very good.
Ask them to do.
Mm-hmm. But Gita, we started.
Iva raised her hand. Iva.
Yeah. Okay. So I agree with Gita, is the fact that says we need to change the conversation. We need to, I think that the one thing that needs to happen, not just for homeopathy, but if we talk about homeopathy, is to not engage in conversations about better and best and the hierarchy and the comparative of, is conventional medicine better than homeopathy? And I think that's where we've got into a lot of trouble, is we're engaging in a conversation that's a no-win. And I think it is much better to look at it from an appropriate point of view and to really watch that idea that says it's not about hierarchy. It's not about which system of medicine is better than another system of medicine. I think we also need to approach it on 3 levels. We do need to do some research, but I would say that when research is being done, it needs to be a small group of people who are well trained in research and who can defend it and who can know the difference between, you know, the research that supports homeopathy versus just following into a randomized controlled trial that doesn't fit the model of homeopathy. I think it's important that we work from a government point of view and focusing low risk. Government focuses on patient safety. We know that that's not a risk. So we get into the wrong conversations. But as Gita said, the biggest focus for homeopathy and for TNCM needs to be with the public, engaging the public, working with the public, because overall, when we look at where the win is, again, but it will be because the demand for despite everything we've said that is a negative, and Wikipedia and everything else like that, the demand for TCIM, the demand for homeopathy is growing. I think that we will have a lot more of this, you know, in the next few years as well. And it's about how do we feed that? Because that is where TCIM will find its footing, is with the public and really supporting that. Because I think too many practitioners buy in and bring that into their practices, all this negativity. And it's like, we need to have a small group of people that do the research. We need to have a small group of people that work with government. And then the majority of people focus on educating the public. And that's where that's where our biggest advantage is.
Thank you, Eva. Elliot, do you want to add something? Or?
No, it was just to say to everybody, but especially to Gita, that I think that homeopaths are probably the maximum expert about placebo, because from the first time we started to deal with the placebo, and we are aware about the possibility of a placebo effect. And just for example, we started my study in years ago, more than 40 years ago, giving for 2 years, all the first prescription was placebo prescription, just to distinguish what is the effect after the effect. Maybe it was just an idea of Homeopathy Europea, but to train the young student to distinguish between the real aggravation and placebo effect to the placebo effect. Just to tell you this.
I think for final for me, I think that there are 2 ways. One way is the scientific validation of homeopathy. Of course, LMHI support all the research, and we have the Secretary of Research, etc. But as Tom said, there are some things that Peter Fisher affirm is the prejudice bias. As Tom said, this cannot work because of the high dilution cannot work. So we have this obstacle in the scientific approbation of homeopathy. But we have to insist with a clinical trial, with basic research, etc., etc. But on the other hand, we have to insist, at Dr. Eva and all the panelists claim, that we have to work in the public opinion. In the public opinion, we have to work because the pressure of the public opinion can be some way of I don't know if the word is pressure over the validation, for instance, by WHO. I don't know. I think that the last words of Dr. Gita about the economic problems is the economic problems that brings homeopathy to the mainstream system, I think that it is an obstacle for us to be considered as an alternative or complementary system of therapy. Now, Dr. Gita, can we get the benchmark of homeopathy inside WHO? What do you think?
I think so, Doctor, because we had this meeting just before COVID struck. I do remember that, it was something around in the last month of 2019, and then I was traveling in 2020 beginning, and then I got stuck in India. So I do remember that very clearly. And then by the time we came back, all of us got into different silos, working for our own. We are not even going to the office now. Probably you know that if any of Tone would have gone to the World Health Assembly, otherwise, had it been there. But now everyone is working from home, and so I think that is immaterial. What I'm saying is it is definitely possible, and it would be ideal, as we discussed the other day, that it could be suggested by one of the governments, and probably the government of India, and on that day we were talking about the Greek government having a supportive role in this. So this could be a possibility which will make it much more easier, along with LMHI and the 5 organizations we had come together on that day. So I think it is not that it is not possible or anybody is against it. And as even if the more the community of what is so-called scientists say that homeopathy is not to be accepted, not very good, etc., then the more the reason why there is a benchmark. So I think I think the stronger the ways in which people try to oppose homeopathy, the stronger is the need for there to be a benchmark. So I think we should use that angle. We should say that it is highly essential that homeopathic training is standardized, and there should be a minimum quality of training for homeopathy, and it is essential for people's safety and and guaranteeing safety, because you are all worried about safety. We are all worried about safety of patients, so therefore we want a safe delivery of a medical system which is effective to the patients and used by millions of people every year. So therefore homeopathic like a benchmark document for homeopathic training, and later a benchmark document for homeopathic practice is essential. This is exactly how we had placed several other systems of medicine, and and I think homeopathy more than deserves to go that line, and and I think it's possible to do that.
We need
this
this
not only your sorry.
Excuse me. We need this benchmark because it is essential for us for defend against the attacks we are receiving. It is essential for us. Thank you for your effort, Dr. Gita.
I think Ton, probably we start writing back to Zhangqi, or instead of writing again, you get one of the governments write to ministry, to the WHO, saying that we are interested in developing a homeopathic training benchmark, and like you can have a discussion with the governments and say that we will be part of the development process, etc. So that could be one possibility, and probably government of India is a very good option to start trying to talk to, because there are a large number of homeopathic practitioners here. There is a 5-year course for homeopathy here, and homeopathy is a very good industry here. So I think probably government of India should be discussed with, and once you start the discussion, I can help you out with of course you have Dr. Manchanda, so I don't think that you require anybody to do that. So but
it can help Gita, maybe it can help the fact that we made a regional law what became a national law in 2013, and then we have rules and etc. and for homeopathy, acupuncture, and herbal medicine. homeopathy
yeah, of
divided
course,
in
yeah.
anthroposophic, etc. Maybe,
Yeah.
and also clinical risk and many documents. But it's difficult. It was difficult to reach the office of Geneva because
No,
it seems to me that there is.
I think where you write is very important. You know, like so. Let me try to find out where we should write this to. Probably the Tuscany had done a lot of work in this. Am I right, Dr. Rossi? Because like the initial benchmark documents for training for Ayurveda, Unani, traditional Chinese medicine, acupuncture, everything came with the support of Tuscany. So I think you have all the right to write that, saying that, we are interested in doing a review, because the right time would be probably next month in January, because we will be doing an update of Ayurveda and Unani document for training. And we will also be publishing the practice benchmark documents for Ayurveda and Unani next month. So that would be an ideal time for us probably to say that, like for the government of Tuscany, local government of Tuscany, to say that we are interested in making sure that homeopathy is also brought under this particular framework of a training benchmark, so that safe and effective medications or interventions can be given to our people. I think that would be a very good, because you have all the right to, because WHO had already leaned upon you to get these documents done, so you can, and you have.
Yes, well, we got in these years the idea that if you are not Chinese, you cannot speak with them. It is I am malicious, but
what do you,
if you don't speak Chinese and you cannot speak.
Tom, what do you say, Tom? Eurocan can join LMHI in this requirement of WHO?
Well, we represent the whole TCIM world in Europe, and not specifically homeopathy alone. So I think that is up to the European Committee for Homeopathy and the European Council of Classical Homeopaths and LMHI, and there are global and European organizations of homeopathic that are involved, I believe.
I do think, having been part of a number of different benchmarks with the WHO, I do think that the benchmarks in homeopathy will have a much smoother process and more of accepting process if it was supported by a country. So like Gita said, like by India. So you can have it where there is a NGO that can support it, but for homeopathy, I think you would be better off. I think we would be better off if there was a country that, because you need somebody who sponsors it, and there's it's a lot of money to actually go through that process. So I do think that Gita is correct, is we need to look for a country, and India is probably the best option.
And I think homeopathy deserves to be supported by a country, not by an organization.
Yes.
Like it is so big, like the probably the biggest or the largest community of practitioners other than modern medicine is from our homeopaths. So I think it needs to be supported by a country, and I think probably we should start seriously looking into it. But of course, Tuscany has the right to do it, because it has already done several rounds of several benchmark documents. India has done it, China has done it, and now the other country which is offering to do it is Iran. So Iran might not have any interest, but China, India, and the local government of Tuscany has a major role to play probably into this, and then all the five organizations, global organizations of homeopathy could come together and then do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thanks. Okay, Natalia.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, all of you, for the reflections. I took notes. So for our attendees and the audience that will attending this panel after, because we are in four halls right now. So points to work in the short time. One, be aware about what is happening in legislation and in the regulation. We have the global report of TCM of WHO published in 2019, sorry, and we noticed there that there is a high percentage of the population that are using TCIM, and in the group of different practice, they include homeopathy like one of the high practice that are used by the population. Two, we have in that global report also statistics of the research and of the education and the programs of training. So we have to be aware and try to communicate to our publication about what is happening in the world. Because one of the situations is that we don't have a note. Let me connect this. We don't have sometimes, like Tom say, people go to Google and find misinformation, no always the good information. So that is also a responsibility of all of us, like institutions, try to communicate in a better way and try to divulgate and try to spread the good information. That good information are the global report, the strategies of traditional medicine of WHO, the benchmark that already exists of other TCIM practice, and the benchmark that will be developed in the next future. Also improve the strategy of communication in order to give good information to our public, to our patients, and to our community of practitioners. Third, we need to improve and increase the exchange of experience, because each country has been working so hard in trying to include the TCIMs as well as the homeopathy in the laws, in the legislation, and trying to make public policies. Not have been in all the countries, but a good quantity of countries has been working of legislation of the TCIM, like we can see in the global report. So we need to do more efforts in exchange experience and good practice between the different countries, as well as the in different levels. Now, try to exchange experience between the health ministries as well as the universities, how each university has been working in education, how could improve the curricula, and how could include in that curricula the strength, the research capacities of the different practitioners, and also exchange experience between the professional associations in a national, in a world level. And also we need to see how we could do a exchange of good practice and how we could learn of the others and try to build a strategy, a common global strategy between us. That means that we need to work creating networks of different stakeholders in different levels of different countries and different regions, like we have been doing in the past years, but we need to improve that. And homeopathy is not alone. Homeopathy is part of umbrella. We know that for some practitioners, homeopathy have to wait a path, but what we have seen in most countries is that when we work together, the different TCIMs, including the indigenous knowledge, the indigenous traditional medicines, and like we know that there's different, but mostly in all the countries we have legislation that are an umbrella to take in account different traditional medicine as well as complementary integrative medicine. So if we decrease the gap between us and we work together like a TCIM community, for sure we could help each other. We have to work in the recognition of the health professions And because in some country, the health professions that exist are like a short list, and in some countries, some professions in health that are related with TCIM are not visible. They just don't put that in the table. So we have to work on that, and that means include in the curriculum of the different health professions an intercultural approach, and include the pluralism, the medical pluralism, in order that each health professional in the world have be aware about that the traditional complementary integrative medicine exists, and that the population are using that, and that they have research, they have evidence, and that they are not quackery. And we need to change the conversation. We need to include more people in that conversation, improve the strategy of communication that I taught. And also we need to include in our own curriculums of the homeopathy and of the TCIM, improve the research capacity that I told, and also public health. Because what we have been seeing is that most of the practitioners, they are not enough aware of what is our role in the community. Now, sometimes, and with all the respect, we see beautiful and wonderful clinicians, but not all the time we see the bridge between what we are doing in our office with our patients and how we could offer excellent strategies of low cost effectivity in different disease management and disease treatments, and how we could help in the universal coverage health strategy. So we need to include the public health in our own curriculums in order to have more conscience about what we can do, and in order to change between all of us, or not change, just add in the public policies the idea of how the TCIM from the intercultural approach point of view could contribute to the different health systems and service, and how could help in the health promotion, health prevention, and also the treatment of different disease, acute and chronic disease, and how we have the tools from homeopathy and other TCIMs to improve health systems and service, and could contribute to the universal health. So that are like the point, taking in account all the reflections that you put there. And I think that we have a beautiful path to continue working together. So good that we have this reflection here. I don't know, Vijita and Tom, like the chairs of the table, want to add something?
No, it was really wonderful having this discussion, because it gave probably some kind of a direction to our combined action or collective movement. And I think that's very important. Every single millimeter that we move forward is a huge advantage to the community, as well as to the society of people who are trying to help with the knowledge that we have in the entire society. Ton, you have the last word. You started, so you ended.
Well, what can I say more than what you just said? I fully agree with your summary, and I'm very happy with, as you told us, any millimeter or even inch or foot, we can make progress. And I'm very happy with the fact that we are so, well, we feel we are on the same page and on the same avenue to a great integrative kind of healthcare. So, perfect.
And in the name of LMHI, thanks to all of you, and thanks for all your efforts in favor of homeopathy. Thanks.
Thanks especially to Sophia, who invited us, and and she was better than a computer for taking notes. And thanks a lot to you.
Thanks, Sophia. Thanks.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for inviting me.
Okay. All
Ciao.
the
See
best.
you later.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Ciao, Tom. Ciao.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.